Hi, I'm Jeff Maxwell. Galen Wayne Maxwell is my uncle, and I put together this PowerPoint presentation to use at his viewing and funeral so that people who don't know Galen could get an idea of who Wayne Maxwell is. So he's a brother, he's an uncle, he's a cousin, he's a relative, he's a friend to a lot of folks. So stand back and for the next 50 minutes or so, and I'll show you some slides that will tell you a story of Galen Wayne Maxwell. By the way, that name card came from his high school graduation. You know, the sort of stuff that we use for high school graduations. This is from the photo collection of me, my dad, Dane Cleatrus Maxwell Jr., my grandma, his mom, Olive Esther Linscott Maxwell, my cousin, Phil Harold Vess, my daughters, Monica and Amanda, helped with this. Alice Perdita Williams Linscott, and Glenna Maxwell Palmer, my aunt. The Photoshop color correction was done by my daughter, Amanda Rose. By the way, the color correction for photos that are 40 years old is pretty intense, and these pictures look really nice. I think you'll enjoy them. This is the family that Galen joined. My Aunt Glenn is on the left, my dad in the middle, and my Aunt Wanda on the right. This picture was taken in 1924 when my dad was born. Galen was born 2 years later, in 1926. So here's a 1938 school picture showing young Galen. This would be probably a little bit before that. My dad, Galen, and their mom in the background. This picture was taken in 1939, showing my granddad, Dane Maxwell Sr., that's my dad, to the right is my dad, Dane Jr., Glenna, Wanda, Galen. And I don't know the name of the dog in the front. This is a picture of the front yard of the farmhouse, probably taken 36, 37 ballpark. The building to the left is the wash house. The building to Galen's right is the way station, and you can see the two pine trees down in Drake's. That's a pretty big board that Galen is carrying as a youngster. 1936, this is Galen and my granddad baling hay. Another young picture of Galen in the late 30s. This is the high school graduation picture for Galen. He graduated from Corning High School in 1944. This is the graduation picture. This is Galen at Fort Leonard Wood with all his full regalia. Military pictures of Galen. He not only served at the tail end of World War II, he also enlisted afterwards and did another 2 years after the end of the war. One of the neatest pictures was proving that he was in Japan, November of 1945, with a couple of Japanese girls. Galen said that Harry Truman saved his life because he was on board a ship and he was the operator of one of the landing craft. So his job was to take the troops on board, and that was a highly, high probability of death would be occurring. This picture, 1949, has been hugely color corrected by Amanda. That's the old Dodge truck out front. License plate says 1948. It was brand new then. Working on the farm. This is the tree sawmill. And you'll see this tractor in many other pictures, the steel wheel tractor. It's a 1936 Farmall. That's Galen, my granddad, operating, again, the sawmill they had in 47. So here, left to right would be Glenna, Galen in the background, Wanda in the foreground, Dane Maxwell Sr. in the center, Olive, my grandma in the front, and that's Harold Vess in the background, taking the back porch, to the backyard. So fast forward to 1961. This is Christmas time, 1961. Galen playing cards with my granddad, Aunt Pat, Uncle Bill Palmer, and that is with the back of the camera, Albert Maxwell. I don't know who the ham in the front is. Well, okay, it's me. Um, Another perspective of the same picture with my mom and sister Lisa, um, as well. You can see Pat and Galen. Galen is a good card player. This is Thanksgiving 1976, playing with my granddad. The puff of smoke to the right came from Bill Palmer. The bearskin rug. In 1954, my granddad and Galen went to Pennsylvania. I mean, they got a deer and this bear. The bear became a bearskin rug, which they used at their house. So Thanksgiving came in 1976, and I asked Uncle Galen to roll that rug out because that rug scared the daylights out of me when I was a little kid, because those teeth were real teeth. One of his prized catches was this turkey. About 1978. Over at Shagbark. Galen took the chainsaw here and made an adapter for it. And what he used it for was to be able to trim the branches at a high level. That's what he used, and he's being videoed there. It's probably part of the Tree Farm Tour in 1990. This helicopter visited the farm in 1998. When we went through Galen's pictures to try to come up with the pictures for this was a surprise. I never knew there was a helicopter there, but Galen's there. Black raspberries. Every late June, early July, the black raspberries ripe, and we would go berry picking. Galen made the best black raspberry pie. He taught my wife how to make the black raspberry pie. If you've never had black raspberries, do yourself a favor and get some at some Smucker's black raspberry jelly. Or any black raspberry, and it is a taste treat that is just beyond description. Shagbark cleaning up the farm. Galen won many different awards. This is the Conservation Farmer of the Year award from 2001. He gave a speech afterwards. Galen and Pat traveled many different places, and in this particular deal, Kelly, my cousin, Kelly Maxwell Palmer, and Galen went out west again, and this time Kelly was able to take pictures of Galen in front of the neat places. They had a great trip out through Canada. So now you can see Galen in these places where he took Pat. Birthday. Galen got along well with all kinds of kids, although he never had kids, obviously. So you'll see a collection of pictures of kids here. This tree obviously is awesome. You know Galen's love for trees. Galen also was a photographer. For the most part, he used this Polaroid camera. Yes, that's a camera, folks. It's got flash bulbs up at the top. But he went and got a camera in the 1980s that was a single lens reflex, and he got some fantastic photos later. This is the Tree Farm Award in 1990. He was the Ohio Tree Farmer of the Year. He also won a bunch of other awards. This is shaped as a buckeye, where he also gave another speech afterwards. Yet another one. It's not shaped like this, the state of Ohio. Yes, he won a chainsaw. This was a vacation with Kelly. Simply a gas station, but look, this is not a typical gas station you're going to see here in Ohio. It was wild enough that Kelly thought it was a great picture because Galen owned that gas station, Stapleton's garage, along with his partner, Ed Stapleton. They every time they stopped, did the windshield and checked the oil. It's called a duplicate. And for those who never saw Galen in a tie, he did wear neckties on a regular basis. But this is normally how you're going to see Galen out doing something. In this case, shopping Christmas trees. Phil took this picture, an incredible shot. This picture is Galen's granddad, Sullivan Maxwell, with his second wife, Rosie. The first wife, Huldah Hayden, died in 1915, giving birth to Garnet. So Rosie became the new Mrs. Maxwell, and that's what the four kids always knew Grandma Maxwell, and that would be Rosie. This is the pump at the farmhouse, which was used on a regular basis because the people liked the water in the back. My dad, being somewhat of a ham, liked to use the old facilities, the way that they used to grow up. They didn't have indoor plumbing until 1947, I believe. That's my dad. This original PowerPoint presentation was created for my dad's funeral. Actually, it was created for my dad's 80th birthday, then to his funeral. So what I did is I took these pictures of my dad and his other family members. That's my mom and dad in the farmhouse, and created it for Galen. Yes, the coffee pot to the far left was always on. Coffee was always in Grandma's kitchen for folks to come by, and a lot of people literally came by the house. That's my mom and dad in Fort Wayne, middle 80s. The last picture of my mom and dad together, because my mom died later that year. This sequence is very unusual. This is Emma, Minnie, and Olive Linscott. Now, I showed you a picture of Galen's paternal granddad. This is Galen's mom and her two older sisters, his aunt and uncle, Emma, Minnie, and Olive Maxwell. Excuse me, Minnie and Olive Linscott. Now, I confused the name by saying Minnie and Olive Maxwell because brothers married sisters. Minnie and Olive married Emmett Maxwell and Dane Maxwell. So brothers marrying sisters was kind of unusual. This picture was taken probably, since my grandma was born in 1900, and she looks to be about 2 there. This picture is probably taken about 1902. Here's 1916, the same 3 girls, Emma, Minnie, and Olive, along with their parents, Jasper and Alice Linscott. So 1916. Fast forward 51 years later, here is on the front, left to right, Emma, Grandma Linscott, that's my great-grandmother, and my grandma. That's me in the front, and Minnie in the right. In the back, left to right, John Emery, Emma's husband, Galen and Pat, Bill and Glenna Palmer, my dad, and Dane C. Maxwell Sr. to the far right. Now, up in the corner, you can see a picture hanging up on the wall. That is my grandma, Alice Perdite Williams' parents. That is James Knox Polk Williams and his wife. Probably taken in about 1860. So here's 1964, the same 3 girls with their mom, Emma, Olive, and Minnie. They changed their sequence a little bit. And here is 1985, the surviving sisters, Minnie and Olive. This is right before my grandma died. So, again, sisters married brothers. That's why Minnie Maxwell and Olive Maxwell. And there's their mom. I took that picture in 1968 for her birthday. Here are the homes that Galen lived in. Galen lived in the store up until from about 32 to 36, I believe, is when they lived in that store. There's to the right of it, you can see an entrance, but the main store is there in downtown Drake's. Of course, it is no more. The store burned down, I'm guessing, in the early 70s. Of Across the street was Uncle Emmett's garage. Here's the farmhouse in Drake's. They lived there from 36 to the late 40s. That's when Gailen was there. The barn on the left, the wheat bin in the center. The way station is there, the building on the right as you cross the bridge. I took 4 pictures, spring, summer, winter, and fall. This is obviously the winter picture. I'm only giving you 2 of the 4. Again, the work that Amanda did to restore the color in these pictures is fantastic. If you would see what some of these things looked like before, it's shocking. This is Gailen and Pat's house in Columbus. They lived there from late 40s until, this is where Pat passed away in 1992. And then Gailen moved to Lancaster. This is the back porch, 1976. Again, this is Thanksgiving, left to right. To be my granddad, Bill Palmer, Kelly Palmer, Gailen, and the guy with the long hair is me, but I'm 21. What do you expect in 1976? This is Gailen's house. They moved to about 96, I think, and that would be Wanda's car in the front, so I'm guessing Wanda took the picture, so I should have given Wanda credits for the pictures taken in the front. My bad. Sorry, Aunt Wanda. This is the farmhouse taken from the way from the east, a perspective you don't see very often. That's the barn down that was torn down, I guess 82, 83, somewhere in that ballpark. Phil took some barn siding from the barn and gave a picture to my parents, to my aunt and uncle, and using the barn siding that he took. It was a fantastic picture. Here's the store in downtown Drake's. I loved working in this little store in the summertime. What that meant was giving pop for folks, and believe it or not, the store in Drake's, they used credit. There was little pads, so if somebody came in and they bought something, you'd write it up on the pad and then stick it on the account. So Granddad took care of people's financing. That's how these folks survived the Depression. And even as late as the 1960s, they were using credit, and they'd come in and pay their account off. The reason why Granddad got this store was because he learned butchering, and they sold a lot of meat. Here's the front of the farmhouse with the picture, I'm guessing and I don't have the date on it, and I don't know the people for sure, but I believe that is Judd Manchester, Glenna, and I don't know who she's with. It could be, well, I'm not even going to speculate who it could be. Next to him would be Albert Maxwell, and Dane Maxwell, his brother. Albert is Gailen's brother. Is Dane Sr.'s brother, along with Emmett. You'll see them later. Across the front, I'm guessing the first person, I'm not sure. The second person, because if that's Judd up on the far left, that would be Ruth next to them, and then that is Wanda and my grandma, and the girl in front. Gotta guess. I'm not gonna guess. So here's Easter 1966. Bill Palmer, Glenna Palmer, Gailen, Dane Maxwell Sr., Dane Maxwell Jr. In the front would be Kelly Palmer, my grandma Olive Linscott Maxwell, Wanda Vess, and my mom and my sister Lisa. Same picture, only color, because it's my dad's camera instead of my camera. I think the color turns out a lot better. Front porch back in the early 70s. The swing was different. The tile was there. My mom sitting with the fan in the window there. This is over by Gailen's Pond. Junior and Senior looking at something around the tire of Granddad's car. 1971, Olive and Dane's 50th anniversary. So it's Gailen, my dad, Grandma Olive, Dane Sr., Glenna, and Wanda. This is the church in downtown Drake's. Backyard of the farmhouse, Senior and Junior, with my granddad's garden in the background. You can see the pump back there too. This farm all was used extensively up until Gailen got his new tractor. but steel wheels, Farmall. I think it's called an F10 or F40. I know it's an international harvester. But Gailen did a lot of bush hogging. It's cutting the grass down by Shagbark. Here's Gailen doing the back garden, and Granddad doing the same garden at a different year. That's Gailen's bulldozer down at the farm. That cute little bulldozer did a lot of things. You got a new one. Now here's the new tractor that Gailen got in the middle 90s. I told you Gailen made a lot of friends with kids. These are Phil and Jane's kids. And Gailen cut Christmas trees every year for folks. This would be my daughter, Kara, sitting on the back of his pickup truck with all the pine trees that he gave for Christmas trees. Here's Gailen with the shelter house in back of the farm. Christmas, 1975. That left to right, my grandma is in the corner picture. My mom, Mona Maxwell, next to them. My dad, Dane Maxwell. My sister, Lisa. Glenna Palmer to the left of my sister. Gailen is standing up pouring, I believe, some wine for Uncle Bill Palmer. My granddad, Dane Sr., and you're looking at the back of Kelly. Here's Thanksgiving, 1976, at Gailen Pat's house. So it's Gailen, my mom, Mona Maxwell, Dane Maxwell, Olive Maxwell, Dane Sr. Maxwell, Glenna Palmer, Kelly Palmer, Bill Palmer, and Aunt Pat. So here's spring 1977. Left to right across the back row would be Jane Vess, Bill Palmer, Dixie, Kelly Palmer, my dad, Phil Vess, that's me with the necktie, Glenna Palmer, Pat, and Gailen. In front of the whole folks are Grandma and Granddad Maxwell with Phil's son. I believe his name is Michael. That would be Wanda, Sue, and my mother in back of Grandma and Granddad. Here's Grandma and Granddad with their 4 kids, Gailen Dane Jr., Wanda, and Glenna. This is late 70s. It would be Mrs. Hillis, which is Pat's mom, and Pat, and Bob Weddle, and Wanda Weddle with the drinking. You can see the back of Bill Palmer. I believe that might be Karen Hayden talking to an unknown person in the foreground there. Dane Sr. Dane Sr. and Jr. walking in the woods. Meanwhile, this is Christmas 76, I believe, with my mother and dad, Pat and Gailen, Uncle Bill Palmer in the background, Grandma in the middle of the picture, Dane Sr., Glenna, and Kelly. Granddad's garden in the back. This is looking for minnows to go fishing. Granddad, and that's Senior and Junior. One of my favorite pictures of my granddad. We're out walking and he's always got his gun looking for something. Grouse, squirrel. Generally grouse is what he got. 80th birthday party for my granddad. Coffee pot in the background. So Sullivan had 9 kids. And this is a picture of 7 of those 9 kids taken in 1983. So left to right, it's Viva Andrus, Dane Maxwell, Wilda, and Albert Maxwell, Ruth Manchester, Emmett Maxwell, and Garnet Freisinger. The other two kids, by the way, are Frank Maxwell, who died in 1932, and William Gerald Maxwell, who died in 1921. This is with the spouses. I'm off by years, 1984. Um, it's George and Viva Andrus, Olive and Dane Maxwell, um, Virgil and Wilda, and Maisel and Albert Maxwell, Ruth Manchester, Emmett Maxwell, Minnie Maxwell, Henry Freisinger, and Garnet Freisinger. To think that in 1984, you know, you can see these folks are not spring chickens, but to live that long. There's Dane Sr. again. This is at our house on Bayberry, probably about 1975, driving his four-wheel drive truck, which he always wanted. Gailen got it for him. I mean, he bought it. He didn't buy it, but he got it in Columbus. Last picture of my granddad taken in January the 1st, 1987. No, that's not the way to start a fire, but that's the way Granddad did it when he was in a hurry. He got pine cones, soaked them in kerosene, threw them in the bottom, then put some coal in the furnace, and it was good to go. Here's Dane, my dad, with Aunt Garnet and Glenna, front porch swing. That front porch swing, there's nothing like it in the whole world, just to sit there and watch a thunderstorm go by in the summertime. My dad said, what's wrong with America? There's not enough front porch swings. The four of us is what they call themselves. That's Wanda, Dane Jr., Gailen, and Glenna. You can see to the left of Glenna. Well, it's the right part of the picture. Is the well in the background. So this had to be taken in 44, probably when they were in Columbus. That's Gailen, Glenna, in her raccoon coat. Wanda and my dad. This is 1987 after Granddad died. Dane, Wanda, Glenna, Gailen. This is over at Shagbark for one of the reunions. Glenna, Wanda, Dane, and Gailen. Back over at Gailen's house, it's Gailen, Wanda, Glenna, Dane Jr. They called him Junior. Which makes sense, but he liked being called DC or Dane. This is at Glenna and Bill's 50th anniversary party over in Corning. It's Glenna with the corsage, Wanda, my dad, Dane, and Gailen. They mix it up, so now it's Gailen, Glenna, Wanda, Dane. Last picture taken of the four of them. This was by Phil. It's a digital picture. Phil, what a great shot. Gailen, Glenna, Wanda, Dane Jr. So here's Glenna and Bill Palmer. Early 1990s. 1946, Gailen and Glenna with her raccoon coat. This is January the 12th, 1959. It's Bill Palmer, Glenna Palmer, Olive Maxwell, and Dane Maxwell on their trip to Alaska. Yep, the year that Alaska became a state, they took off in the car, drove over 10,000 miles up to Alaska and back. What a trip. This is 1964, our house in Cambridge. It's Gailen on the far left, Pat next to him on the other side of the picnic table, Grandma on the lounge, my sister in front of her, Mona Maxwell sitting on the brick wall, Kelly in the red shorts, Bill Palmer. Wait a minute. It must be Glenna next to Granddad. By process of elimination. Here's Kelly down on the farm, their white Chrysler. I love the bell in the background over it. You can see where Kelly's shoulder. We rang that bell all the time as kids. Here's late 1978, I guess it was. Bill, Glenna, and Kelly Palmer. Dad took this picture at a Hayden reunion, 70 or 71 of Glenna. This is the 25th anniversary party that was held in the church in Drake's, the Methodist church in the basement. You can tell by the same purple walls that match that 1971 50th anniversary party for Grandma and Granddad. That would be, I think that's Viva, Andrus on the far left, Glenna, Gailen, Judd, and I'm pretty sure that's Betty Ann, Edna's daughter. Did I use the wrong arrow and go backwards? If I did, that was a duplicate. If not, here's Glenn and Bill going to probably a alumni event over in Corning. Here's Glenna, Gailen, and Kelly planting a tree. I wanted to get this action shot of Aunt Glenna just because it's fun. See the smile. So here's Wanda. Phil took this picture. Great shot. This is the family of Wanda and Bob Weddle. Jennifer is to Bob Weddle's under her arm. Jane and Phil Vess in the background. David and Michael. Dixie and Michael Osteen. Sue and her husband, and that's Josh in the front, so that's before Olivia and Teresa were born. Here's Wanda. This is Wanda and Harold Vess and their son Phil. Because he was born in 48, this picture is probably taken late 48, early 49. But here is Dixie in 1950 as a baby with her big brother Phil, her mom Wanda, and Harold Vess. Grandma took this picture. It's now, here's the newest baby. That would be Sue in the front. Dixie's on one arm of the chair, Phil's on the other arm of the chair, and I love Phil's expression. Not that I mind Wanda's, it's what a beautiful smile. Here's Wanda and Harold with their three kids, Dixie, Phil, and Sue. Now this time they're with Grandma Linscott. That's Dixie, Phil, Grandma Linscott, Wanda, and Sue. Wanda and Harold had to be early 70s. I believe Harold died in 72 or 71. I forget. Sorry. 1974. Here's Wanda in the back porch of her house. This is Granddad Dane Maxwell with Sue and Phil, taken in Burr Oak. You can see the guardrail there by the dam and the lake down below. Grandma took this picture. So here must be that same 77 visit of Phil and Jane with Wanda, Grandma, and Granddad. Phil, and I believe, again, Michael is the oldest. I think Dave is the second. So here's Wanda and Bob Weddle at Glenna's 50th anniversary. This is taken over at the Corning School in Corning, Ohio. They use it as a civic center now. So here's a Christmas card with Wanda's family. And this time you're going to get Olivia and Teresa and Jennifer and David and Michael and Josh. And the far left would be Michael Osteen and Dixie. And David and Sue Egbert, Bob Weddle in the middle, Sue Vess, Wanda. I think that completes the collection. Here's Wanda with one of the great-grandkids. There's Wanda and Bob Weddle. This is Wanda's 80th birthday party. That's Bill and Glenna Palmer. I don't know who the guy is standing next to talking to Aunt Glenna, next to Aunt Wanda. Bob Weddle in the middle. Gailen Maxwell, the star of this show, and Kelly to the right of him. Aunt Glenna is taking a picture of her little sister, blowing out the candles. By the way, they're, I think, just 11 months apart. Glenna was born in March of 22. Wanda was born in February of 23. That's one of her granddaughters from Sue, and Josh, far right hand side, and I don't know whose thumb that is. I think that's Miss Scarlet. I'm not sure, the dog. But another great grandchild. That's Phil. And I'm pretty sure it's Michael and his kids with Wanda. This is Wanda's 90th birthday party. So meanwhile, back to Grandma Olive Maxwell. I took this picture in 1973 in her kitchen. She loved to cook. That's her Crosley stove, which went next to the Crosley refrigerator for the longest time. 75 again, back on Bayberry. 83, I'm guessing. Grandma's noodle pot. She was literally making noodles. Nobody made noodles like Grandma. Nothing as compared taste-wise. Now, I'm sure if I went and got Wanda's, I'm sure Wanda does a knockout job, but she's in Maryland, and I don't get to Maryland too often. 50th wedding anniversary. Here's Olive and Dane Maxwell with the plate given to them by their kids. Olive's 75th birthday party, which was over at Burr Oak Lodge with Granddad. This is after Grandma Olive died in 1985. So it's Sue and Josh, Gailen, Dixie, Bob, Wanda, Phil Vess, my granddad, Kelly Palmer, Glenna Palmer, Bill Palmer, Mona Maxwell, that's me, Jeff Maxwell, and my dad on the far right-hand side, Dane Jr. This is Dixie, along with my dad and Albert Maxwell, taken at a Hayden reunion. This is Gaylen's Uncle Emmett Maxwell. Again, Emmett married Minnie. The gas station in town, the store would be to your right on the other side of that street, but the store was no longer there. It's Dad's 71 Chrysler. Emmett had the most unusual store. He had all these, inside the gas station was this collection of stuff, and you can see in the background of his office back there, these pictures are up on the wall. These are all ancestors. You're going to see William Alexander Maxwell. You're going to see Billy Maxwell. You're going to see Robert Maxwell. There is a picture, I believe that's a wedding picture of Sullivan and Huldah Hayden in the oval to the right of the clock. Emmett was the oldest, so he had the collection of all the relatives. This is Gaylen's first oil well. That would be 1968, I believe. That's me, Granddad, and my sister going to investigate the oil well. Gaylen with a bride and a groom. Gaylen and Bill Palmer with a Minnie Pearl lookalike down in Nashville. They would go, Glenn and Bill, after Pat died, would frequently go down to Nashville to go listen to music at the Grand Ole Opry. Gaylen obviously loved to listen to singers. So here's a whole collection of singers and friends that he made along the way, because Gaylen made a lot of friends. A lot of people know Gaylen from different places. So as you go through here, you go, wait a minute, he knows this. Gaylen went to touched a lot of lives. Now this particular picture came from the hunters that every year would go to Shagbark. So they cooked a meal for Gaylen. That's the best shot they had of him, because it's normally there's no light over at Shagbark. There's no power there. There was power when Sullivan, my great-granddad, lived there for a period of time, because they had it hooked up to a battery. But there's never been power, there's never been water at Shagbark. So here are the deer hunters. These are the guys that have been taking care of Shagbark for years and years. Gaylen in the middle of the picture. They presented these three pictures at Gaylen's funeral. Three great shots of the all the deer hunters. Gailen made so many friends. Yes, I told you he was in coat and tie. Here's the 1984 Outstanding Private Woodland Owner Award with Pat Gailen. More awards. So here is the live entertainment every Saturday night. Every Saturday, Gailen went to the farm and worked somewhere doing trails or something. And every Saturday night, he would go back to Columbus and he and Pat would go out and listen to folks. Here is Gailen by himself listening to Much Too Much. So here's Pat, my Aunt Pat Gailen's wife. They married June 27th, 1953. I believe that's her high school graduation picture. Gailen and Pat traveled a lot of places. Here's Chateau Lake Louise. This is over at Shagbark, I think 73. This is Christmas 1975. I took this shot. And this one. This is the dining room down on the farm. You can see the picture of the bear and the deer on the car in the background, those black and white shots. Again, same Christmas. Yeah, Christmas 75. This is another side of that room. With Bill Palmer, Glenna, the back of Gailen, Dane Sr., Kelly, Glenna, and my grandma on the far right. Pat on a cruise. This might have been, it's just, this is down in Gatlinburg, I believe. They did the Gatlinburg fall tour as well. Look at the size of that tree. I believe that's up in back of the farmhouse. That's an old tree. Over at Shagbark, it's Pat. I love that leaning porch. I left Gailen's Polaroid picture showing this is New Year's Day, 1984, or New Year's Eve, pardon me. Down on the farm, it's Gailen and Pat. The Outstarting Tree Farm, 1990. Gailen and Pat in front of the farmhouse. Had to be post 1991 or so. She died in 92. Happy anniversary. This is part of that Shagbark Tree Farm of the year. Beautiful smiles. Pat and Gailen, this is part of the Tree Farm tour in 1990. Dane Sr. Olive, and that's me as a baby. So it's 1955. This is my sister and my granddad on the front of the farm. Yes, you can see because of all the snow, you see back into town really well. But they built an igloo. Originally, I built this fort on the far side of this picture, and then Granddad helped Lisa with her fort, and they decided just to make an igloo, the one and only igloo. That's my dad and me. Oh, by the way, there's that picture I told you about Phil making with the barn siding from the barn, with the original bridge at the farm. It's a great picture, and Phil. It was great to be able to give us that shot of the farm. There's Amy and I over at Shagbark with the pump there. That shot had to be taken about 91. There's my dad and I, Dane and Jeff Maxwell. Well, this is senior and junior and me at the far left. What we're digging, I don't know. We were collecting something. Those 5-gallon jugs. This is Gailen with the truck over at Shagbark with Granddad in the background. When we were driving around, it was always fun to see somebody you knew, and this time it's Granddad at the wheel of his Chrysler, and we ran into Gailen going the other direction, so took a picture. This is back at that Thanksgiving 1976, where playing cards, it's Bill and Gailen and my granddad playing. So here is 1963. This is the lake that Gailen made in back of his Shagbark farm. So it's my mom, it's Grandma Olive, it's my sister in front of that picture. But Gailen wanted a lake, and he made it right there on the farm. Here's the same lake a little bit later. Many a worm were drowned in that lake. Here's Gailen checking the water level because the water's down. I believe this is when the beavers got upstream and built a dam and took the water away from the lake until they had to get rid of the beavers because they were obviously causing damage. It's Gailen checking the lake level with Dane Sr. Gailen used a chainsaw for so many things, and he could use it for not just cutting trees. But this is one of those shots where he used it for cutting trees. Again, trimming the trails. There are so many trails that Gailen made as a result of keeping those trees trimmed. Over at Shagbark, cooking out on the grill. And those are not hamburgers, folks. That fire pit was used many, many times for many different folks. And I like how the deer hunters came up with seats around over at Shagbark. Here's a duplicate of the Ohio Outstanding Tree Farm for 1990. And he won another chainsaw. Here is Dane Jr., Ed Stapleton, his business partner in Columbus, and Gailen at that 1990 Ohio Tree Farm tour that was there at Shagbark. That's Glenna Palmer, Bill Palmer, Wanda Weddle, Bob Weddle, Pat and Gailen Maxwell, Amy and Jeff Maxwell at the far right, part of that tree farm tour. Carries a baby bump in front of Amy. Wanda looks so pretty. That's Ed Stapleton, Pat Maxwell, and the back of Uncle Bill Palmer. Yes, there was an award ceremony there too. That same plaque. Gailen often had the pipe. He had the sweetest smelling pipe too, by the way. Meanwhile, it's Kara and Monica Maxwell with my dad back at our house. As kids, you know, you could give a kid in this case it was a car seat, but give a kid a box and they're entertained. Looking at pictures, which, by the way, we're doing now, and it's been done in our family for a long time. That's Monica, Dane, and Kara Maxwell. This is over at my dad's house. Lisa Muir, my sister, along with my dad, Dane, and the back of Monica and Kara and Amy Maxwell to the far right. This is Dad's birthday. Meanwhile, Gailen, you're going to find lots of smiles for Gailen. It's in back of Shagbark. That's, yeah, Chris, Gailen, Kelly, and Glenna. Chris, a very good singer with Gailen. That's Chris and the band. I'm not sure if this was Phil Dirt and the Dozers. I believe her husband is back on the drums. I think that's correct. I'm not 100% sure on that. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. I love Galen's smile. I also love the typewriter in the background of his house. You can tell when Galen's happy. The natural, just I'm happy smile. This is a hidden reunion. It's um, Bill Andrus in the center with his wife Andreen. My dad is showing them genealogy from the genealogy work that my dad did. That's Dane Maxwell and Bill Andrus's brother George to the far right. My dad did extensive genealogy work and is able to share all that stuff. Who's related to who, why, and why. What a huge, huge gift for the family. This is Christmas at my dad's house. Amy Maxwell, Mike Muir, Lisa Muir, Dane Maxwell Jr., Kara, and Monica Maxwell. And I didn't know the unnamed doll on the floor. Mother's Day 1999, where this baby that my dad is holding is Amanda Rose Maxwell with Kara and Monica, taken to the Golden Lamb in Lebanon, Ohio. Meanwhile, this is 1997 at our house. It's Glenna, Kelly, my dad, at the farm. My dad, Amy, you just look at the back of Amy, you look at the front of me. So Monica wanted her birthday at the farm. So here they are with the back of the pickup truck that's at the farm. My dad, I think that's a friend of Monica's, Sydney. Kara in the front. I believe that's a man in the back. That barn is wonderful. The family picture of 1991 would be Lisa Muir, Mike Muir, Mona Maxwell, Dane Maxwell, Kara Maxwell, the baby looking the other way, Amy Maxwell, and that's me, Jeff Maxwell. So one of the last pictures of my dad after he entered the assisted living with his disease, it's Kara, Amanda, my dad, and Monica Maxwell. Thanksgiving, I guess, again, about 1997, Bill and Glenna Palmer, Kelly in the background, Gailen turning sideways, trying to squeeze into the picture. Oh, it had to be 99 because Amy is holding Amanda. Amanda was born in 99, so this is probably the year 2000, just looking at the fact that Amanda's that old. Kara with the fun grin in the front. I'm in the way back. Mike Mears in front of me. Monica is tilting her head, and my dad at the far right. Meeting my sister took the picture. This is 1994, December the 4th. Bob and Wanda Weddle. It is my dad, Gailen Maxwell, and then Glenn and Bill. This is at a restaurant. I think it was in Lancaster. It's the same time when Kara was there with all the pine trees. So here's Wanda and Gailen, late 40s, I'm guessing. Excuse me, middle 40s. This is the day my dad went into the Army, March of 1943, with Wanda in her raccoon coat. This is Pat and Gailen in 1946. Pat and Gailen. This is Gailen about 1973 in the backyard of the farmhouse. Shagbark. That's the outbuilding behind the Shagbark. So Beech Grove Church is in back in the lower part of Perry County. To commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Beech Grove homecoming, they planted a tree. It had to be a beech tree, of course. 1975. Dane Sr., Dane Jr., Phil Vess, Bill Palmer in the back, in the front, Mona Maxwell, Olive Maxwell, Wanda Vess, Jane Vess, and Glenna Palmer. This is the 1977 Hayden reunion taken at Shagbark. The this came from a 3x5 photo. It got scanned, and when you blow it up, you can see everybody's face there. Um, Pat and Gailen are right in the center of the picture. Pat is in the kind of a pink and white shirt, Gailen back of her. But it's their farmhouse, and everybody's there for the Hayden reunion. One of my favorite pictures I took of Pat and Gailen, 1976. Here's Gailen at the grave of his parents, Dane and Olive. Because of all the land that the Maxwells own, Gailen had these boundary stickers made so he could put them on trees so people would know where the boundary is. And that is the crest of arms for the Maxwells. Never sleep. Thank you for joining me on this presentation of the life of Gailen Maxwell in pictures. I hope I've got everybody's name right. I apologize if I didn't. Gailen Wayne Maxwell is a trusted and he's a great friend, relative, cousin, uncle, and brother. And thank you for spending the time with me today, and I hope you enjoyed this trip through pictures.